playing some of the same positions. Is what do we see out of each other that we can improve on, or what's expected. And really just making sure that we've been accountable to each other for what's being put out there on the field.
Knowing him at least decently as well as you do, did you see in the spring, athletically and physically, that okay, this is back to where I saw him before?
He's still him.
Yeah,
he's still him, and I think we all have bits and pieces that we see for ourselves that we can improve on.
Sure.
But he's still him.
How key do you think you were and some other guys just keeping him confident while he was going through that injury?
I think him having company, being around people that you can just kind of talk to sometimes, I think that keeps you in a decent mental space, because like, especially going through an injury, I know like just having somebody you can talk to, or having somebody to kind of explain how you feel throughout that process, especially rehabbing it, and how far along you are into that coming back process. I think it keeps you mentally checked in, especially having people to relate to. You know that okay, you might not be as far off as you may think you are, because coming back off an injury is not the easiest thing for us to do. And then just being back in there, especially making sure you are able to maintain your body, and then like you said, elevating yourself and really challenging the person next to you to make sure that they're giving the best that they can give. I think that's like the smaller parts from the group.
Actually, I was traveling.
Tarique, what have you learned from Coach Boo about linebacker play since he's been here?
A lot about the fundamentals. Coach Boo is a really experienced dude. He know a lot about the game. Obviously, know a lot about linebackers. I think my biggest jump from him is within the game fundamentals, but he does a lot of teaching outside of the game too. And I just think that like being able to have somebody like him as a coach, but also in that position of somebody who kind of like gives you more about life in general, I think you kind of fold that all into a better experience in itself.
Two veteran guys in your inside linebacker tandem. How good can you guys be? And are you going to be like an anchor for that defense?
I feel like we should be. Take a lot of pride in playing linebacker, and I think that once you like really stand in the center of a defense, you should be able to facilitate and really put things in perspective and in position while we out there, so that we all are on the same page and all are performing the way we should be.
What are some goals you have as a linebacker core this year?
Obviously, staying healthy is at the very top, of course, because you can't play if you're not available. But making sure that we're more vocal, making sure that we're getting more in depth in the defense, and really making sure we all playing as one together. If one gets better, we all get better.
I guess kind of going back to before last year, what do you think is kind of the biggest thing is kind of behind your breakout out to get more playing time?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah, I guess I know you broke out and got a lot more playing time, a lot more snaps last year. I guess what do you think were kind of the biggest things behind that?
Confidence, really. Opportunity and confidence. I think once you step out there on the field, and even though we're all teammates, we still compete. And in this, you want to make sure that you're the best you can be. And with that, you have to be confident in what you're doing. I think especially at the time I was young, so I think once I really stepped out there and got a feel of college football, it kind of helped me settle in and actually start to pay attention to a lot of the overarching picture of it all, because I actually got the experience now, and I'm like, okay, this is where I am. I kind of can see where I need to go. I can really watch myself against others and not just here, and I can kind of put things in perspective to do what I need to do to get better, and making sure that I follow in on that.
I guess kind of where were you when they kind of told you won the job, and what was that kind of moment like for you?
I was excited, man, because it was during the COVID season, so I know the very first game of the season was Wisconsin. So when it happened, you know how it happened there. So right before halftime, and then the bigger plays started to happen, and then I'm like, okay, I'm good. I'm catching the speed of this, and then to go on later on and start those other couple games, that really put in my mind like, okay, this is like your moment, it's your time, and I really felt like at that point it's like it's here, and like I don't want to give it back. I'm not letting it go to anybody else. So, I mean, I feel like if you hold something, you want to cherish that, and then you want to be the best at it. So that's really where I held it to, is just kind of keep it constantly improving on the stuff that I need to improve on to make sure that I'm the player that I wanted to see for myself when I watched the film.
Was that ever hard with the new staff? And after making those plays, the new staff comes in, you're kind of like, hey, I need to...
So I think the hardest part for me at the time was when they got here, I was still, going through rehab, so I was somewhat limited. I think when we did get into playing and, you know, getting into the system and everything. I think that process in itself was it was more physical than it was mental to me, because at that point I had already been sitting out and watching the film, and a lot of what I had to do in terms of being on the field was mental. So there it was just more pressure on myself physically to be able to put out what I wanted.
You were more of a space player in the old defense. Did it take some time to get used to playing the inside gaps and shedding blocks
It
and all
didn't
that
actually.
stuff?
So going back to high school, I actually played both middle and some of outside, because we were in a 4-3 in high school. So I played outside and inside. And moving side to side has never really been an issue to me. So coming from this defense, I still feel like I get to move, you know, a decent amount. So it's really was no acclimation for me to make.
What have you seen as far as the depth behind you and CJ with the younger guys? Are they coming along pretty well?
They're definitely stepping up. I'm honestly happy to see what the room produces once the older guys gone. I'm happy to see what they're going to produce. They've been doing it's exceptional people in this building, especially for me in their room. There's a lot of great athletes in there.
I was going to ask you about Kennan, a specific, really athletic kid. Is he getting big enough to play Big Ten football?
He's huge. Like you definitely should see him. Like he's explosive. Like he's definitely a monster. When you got to see him. You gonna watch him. He's a pretty good player too.